Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. Well, for years, Roseland has been home to many curlers, but the city has a new proposal to move it, which isn't landing with many. Plus, the Nexstar energy plant is starting its hiring process. I met with the CEO about what that means for Windsor, Essex. And severe crime in Windsor is down. That's according to updated numbers. But some have concerns about whether those new stats are telling the full picture. Nexstar Energy is hitting another milestone. They've begun hiring to launch one of the largest electric vehicle battery plants in the world. Today, I went to the site to get the details. Nexstar Energy is starting a new phase, announced today a massive hiring initiative. And we're here on site to speak to the CEO about what that means for Windsor, Essex.
I'm from South Korea, and I've been, in Windsor like now 1 year.
Okay,
Yeah.
Are you liking it?
Oh, yes.
Danny's Lee moving to Windsor for the top job at Nexstar Energy, and he's looking for others to join him.
But this time of the year, we are going to start our initial hiring plan, which is now stands at around 130 people.
He's calling those 130 the launch team, hired first before the next 2,300. What sort of jobs will be on that team?
Well, for that team, the span of job is quite, wide. We are going to hire the people across the 25 different, position and the title.
100 of those people will be production floor staff, like engineers and technicians, who will undergo extensive international training, expected to move to Poland for 3 months and then China or South Korea. For a man or woman who has family being away for 5 months, I mean, that's kind of an extensive period of time to train.
Yeah, it's not like a 5-month full program. It's like, 3 months, and in the middle, there would be a chance that they come back. So those, skill set they're going to learn, experience here will be highly valued in the marketplace.
Lee says it's also not going to feel like a traditional automotive plant. Machines make the parts. People will be hired to maintain the machines. The plant will have a gym and a cafeteria with different international cuisines.
This facility we are producing will provide a really state-of-the-art, working environment as well as condition for the people.
He says they've been working with the university and college to establish a talent pipeline to not only make sure they can staff the facility, but also to maintain a steady supply of skilled employees.
It's going to generate generational, opportunity for Windsor. And absolutely, we are also excited to work with such highly skilled people here in Windsor.
The CEO of Nexstar Energy also told me people should expect around 8 weeks of delays. Module production is supposed to start next July, and the sale production is supposed to start in January of 2025. The second round of hiring will happen sometime next year. Well, recent numbers show that severe crimes in Windsor are down, but the numbers don't tell the full picture, according to one criminologist. As the CBC's Jacob Barker reports, the perception of crime remains a concern for residents.
The idea of an unsafe downtown isn't anything new to Bob Cameron. The nonprofit organization he heads up helps out at the ground level.
I live downtown. We live downtown. We've invested in it and are here in the long term, and so are choosing not a naivety, but an optimistic response, saying, hey, how can we respond in a creative way?
A number of brazen, violent incidents in downtown have led headlines over the last year. Caught on video, images travel quickly online. Cameron believes that the way information flows affects the perception of the area in this day and age.
Where a few years ago, a few people would discuss something that happened in the neighborhood or on the news. Now, multiple number of people are talking about it, and it's magnifying. You're getting a ripple effect.
New numbers from Statistics Canada shows that the city is bucking trends when it comes to crime severity. The Crime Severity Index, or CSI, looks at the types of crimes that are being committed in the city and weights them according to how severe they are. Nationwide, that has gotten worse. Across Canada, it went up 4% from 2021 to 2022. But here in Windsor, it took a big-time dip, down 11%. Windsor police did not agree to an interview on the subject, but last week they seized the opportunity to highlight the percentage changes for Windsor and Amherstburg combined.
We try and reconcile that to what we experience. And there's, I think, a variety of factors there, and possibly a both and, where both things are decreasing, and yet some things are also increasing. We notice probably an increase in things like petty theft.
The dip likely not a result of policing, says a Windsor criminologist.
We seem to have an an older population in Windsor compared to other city centers. As people age and get older, they are less inclined to commit crime generally, and more specifically violent crime.
Forest Glade is no stranger to violent crime either. This is the scene of a 2022 shooting, and earlier this year, police chased down a suspect in an attempted murder in the area. But the view on crime here is different.
Crime has changed. When we first got here 3 years ago, yeah, it was, you noticed it, but now it's definitely on its way down.
Yeah, so you feel it?
I feel it. I see it.
In what way?
I just don't see it.
I'm living here since 6 years, and I feel really safe in this area.
Dukmejian says that different surroundings can lead to different perceptions.
If you see a lot of people just wandering around aimlessly at night, and there's, graffiti, garbage, there's maybe syringes, this, that, and the other thing, then you're thinking there's a lot more crime.
A change downtown residents want to address.
Crime stats are showing that things are dropping. I'm just going to understand why. And what is increasing? If it's petty theft, the increase we're seeing in folks who are living on the streets, and a perception that they're dangerous, or we need to address those things, talk about them, and change the narrative.
Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
A customer of Ontario's largest credit union is warning others to check their Equifax credit score after discovering a discrepancy on his. His credit rating dropped because of a technological problem that made it look like he was carrying twice the amount of debt than he actually was, scuttling his attempt to rent a Toronto apartment. As Angelina King reports, he's not the only Meridian Credit Union client having the issue.
As you can see, the payments, they're up to date.
Velimir Dretzen's credit score dropped to a rating considered poor. He says he wouldn't have noticed the discrepancy had it not been for a landlord asking him specifically for an Equifax credit check earlier this month.
Like, I would have been none the wiser.
That's because Dretzen gets his credit report from a different rating agency. He was shocked when he compared the two. Dretzen's Equifax credit score was 526, which puts him in the poor category, a rating that could make it hard for him to borrow money. But TransUnion listed his score as good at 676, 150 points higher.
You put the work in to improve it and to have a nice, good history, for the last couple of years, and you're still at the bottom of the barrel.
The Equifax report listed two versions of the same maxed out credit card.
And so I thought at first maybe there's some type of fraud on the account.
There wasn't. Turns out the problem lies with the technology change at Equifax after Meridian took over the management of its credit cards from a third party last fall. The credit bureau says that resulted in creating a second credit card account showing up on some Meridian customers' reports. Equifax says the problem only affects some Meridian clients.
So it was showing instead of 3,000 outstanding, I had 6,000 outstanding. It's like I opened two credit cards with the same person for the same amount on the same day.
Dretzen's score was fixed after he and CBC Toronto contacted Equifax, but not in time for him to apply to rent a basement suite in Etobicoke. Now he's warning other Meridian customers.
I know how stressful it was for me. It's not fair for them, and I'm thinking it would have been nice if someone did this 6 months ago if they got nailed. If it's affecting, their whole database of credit card clients, that's a lot of people.
Neither Meridian nor Equifax would say how many customers are affected. Equifax did say it's working to fix the issue for all Meridian customers by September, and for those who need an immediate fix can contact them.
It's very important to have good credit.
Credit counselor Mark Kalinowski says a poor credit rating could force people to private lenders instead of banks.
It can add tens of thousands of dollars extra over the lifetime of that product.
As for Meridian, the company says it's reporting credit card information correctly to Equifax, and employees have been trained to help customers contact Equifax to make sure their credit rating reflects the right score. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
Some ice users are worried about the city's proposal to move the Roseland Curling Club into the WFCU Centre. As the CBC's Lamia Abuzaid reports, it's a move curlers and figure skaters oppose.
This is our display board for all our program and the ribbons and badges.
Pei-Ling Kwong is the president for the Riverside Skating Club. She says the City of Windsor's recommendation to permanently relocate the Roseland Curling Club to the WFCU Centre concerns her.
All the ice is 90% being booked. It's no other space to put our ice in our current schedule to fit in other facilities, because that will impact other user group. And where they go, if Riverside move the next rink, where's the hockey player, where's their game can go? It's huge impact.
The City of Windsor is going to multiple options. Option 1 is to spend millions renovating the existing Roseland facility, clubhouse and curling area, or demolish the clubhouse and renovate the existing curling area at Roseland. Option 2 is to build the curling facility on the Roseland grounds that includes a lounge area and office space. Option 3, relocate the curling to an existing city recreation facility, the WFCU Center. That's the least expensive option and what the city is leaning towards. One Roseland curler says if the city goes with option 3, it'll create barriers for people.
I find that Roseland is pretty central for most of our league that come from all around the area, and especially as they're starting to double Cabana, so there's easier access from all parts of the city. I think moving it out makes it less accessible for many people. It just adds to the commute that they have. Also, to say that curling is not important enough that they want to put us into a skating rink just feels very offensive to me.
It's Young's skating rink they'd be bumped into. She met some of her lifelong friends here, and these changes might impact how much she sees them.
I would hate to lose some of our friends because of a move for something that to me should be part of the heart of the community in the winter. And the city just let this building, they never invested to maintain it.
Council will be discussing this report next week, with staff recommending the club relocates to the Grennan Ice Pad. An idea curlers and figure skaters both oppose. Lamia Abuzaid, CBC News, Windsor.
Well, the Canadian women's soccer team took a tough loss this morning, ending their run at the World Cup. Australia notched a resounding 4-0 victory in the critical match, delighting hometown fans and crushing the spirits of Canadian players. Lindsay Duncombe has more on Canada's lopsided loss.
This was absolutely devastating for Canada. The worst game the women have had in years. Every time the Australians scored, this stadium shook with cheers, and it happened a lot. The Matildas came in strong, 2 goals in the first half by forward Hayley Rasso, and they could have had a third. An Australian goal was ruled offside. 4 substitutions at the half didn't make a difference. Sophie Schmidt missed the net, and Australians hit it again and again. There were tears in the mixed zone.
Just a bad night to have a bad night.
What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think they just showed up better than we did. Yeah, I mean, they took advantage of some momentum early, and I think the game got a bit stretched for us, and yeah, they wanted it more than we did tonight.
What happened?
Not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure. We were ready for this game, so yeah.
It felt like that first goal so early came as a bit of a surprise. They just never really got the momentum back.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was tough. I don't have many words right now. It was tough.
This will be the last World Cup for Sophie Schmidt. Captain Christine Sinclair is 40 and didn't answer questions about her future, but she is thinking about the future of the game in Canada.
I think this, for me, is a wake-up call for back home, a wake-up call to our federation and the lack of a professional league, the lack of resources for the national teams, the lack of resources for the youth national teams that, similar as on the men's side. I mean, if the resources aren't there, we're going to fall behind.
At a press conference after the game, head coach Bev Priestman summed up the result simply. She said, "This is going to hurt like hell." Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Melbourne.
A feeling for that women's team tonight. Well, beautiful night out there. We find out what's coming up for the rest of the week after the break. A BC conservation photographer has captured images of a 46-meter-high cedar tree near Tofino on Vancouver Island. At its base, the tree is nearly as wide as 2 city buses side by side. Chad Pawson has more about this so-called wall of wood and its contribution to biodiversity.
For 20 years, Victoria's TJ Watt has trekked through the province's vast and verdant woods, seeking out giant, gnarly old trees to photograph and make a case for their conservation. Now, at a time when exceptionally large trees have dwindled due to logging, he's recorded what he calls the highlight of his career.
In all the years that I've been doing this, no tree has blown me away more than this one. It literally is a wall of wood.
Watt photographed a western red cedar estimated at more than 1,000 years old on Flores Island in fabled Clayoquot Sound on Ahousaht First Nation territory. Its incredible vastness puts it among the biggest trees in the country.
Absolutely mind-blowing. It's over 17 feet wide. It's over 5 meters wide at the base. But unlike most other trees, it actually gets wider as it grows up.
Tyson Atleo with the Ahousaht First Nation has been to see the tree. He's also in awe of the specimen, which has been nicknamed the Wall.
Absolutely blown away in reflection, at the tree. Just the sheer value of biodiversity that is upheld and maintained by this living organism, and the ecosystems that it creates on its own are just so significant.
The Ahousaht Nation are keeping the tree's location a secret to protect it, but in telling the world now, Watt and Atleo want it to be a symbol.
Is a powerful statement to how well the Ahousaht have stewarded our territories and, the need to protect and preserve such significant trees like this.
Luckily, the tree is in an area currently off limits to logging. Ahousaht First Nation and others are finding ways to keep old trees in biodiverse forests standing while replacing revenues lost to logging with activities such as tourism.
I think it's a shining example of how First Nations can use tools such as conservation financing to help protect old growth forests in their territory while building more prosperous and sustainable economies based on conservation.
But to do more of this, nations need the help of the province to step in with additional conservation funding. They hope trees like the Wall will make a good argument for it. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, Nick, I love that we can appreciate some of the country's oldest trees, but that story also kind of made me sad for some of the beautiful trees that we saw knocked down in the areas, parts of the areas of the county last week. I don't think there were any as tall maybe as that one in BC, but I was in Harrow and I can tell you some big ones definitely fell. Please don't tell me that we have more of that weather coming our way that could, knock down trees like that.
You know what, Meg? We're actually in for a fairly calm week. I'll give you that
good.
right off the back. Yeah. Of course, the heat and humidity play into all of this. We're still seeing some heat, some humidity, but the thunderstorms a little bit more isolated, not much in the way of winds in the forecast as well. I'm going to show you all that coming up here in just a sec. Right now, though, we're sitting at 25 degrees in the city of Windsor. Any of the sort of remaining humidity in southern Ontario really kind of just down around the Windsor area, but not much to speak of in terms of a humidex, touching about the 30 mark for now anyway. Now, there are a few showers and actually some isolated thunderstorms likely to pop up here as well. And you'll notice they're kind of sliding down. So in the next couple of hours, in extreme southwestern Ontario, including Windsor, expect to see some isolated showers, but those should dissipate as we head through the overnight period as well as we lose some of the daytime heating. So that's the forecast heading into the evening. Now, you watch those slide across, still some wet weather. By tomorrow, though, some cloud cover, then sort of on and off spotty showers, not so much for tomorrow morning, but into tomorrow afternoon, we may see an isolated shower popping up as well, and then through tomorrow evening. But you notice nothing organized, and it doesn't look like there's anything really severe popping up as well. By Wednesday, again, some isolated showers moving through, most of that down toward the Golden Horseshoe, but again, could see a few isolated showers in the Windsor area. So a little bit of a mixed bag, but overall not looking too bad. 16 degrees as we move through the overnight period tonight, and then tomorrow we're looking at highs of 26 degrees, isolated showers there. Temperatures slowly creeping up, humidex values in the mid-30s as well. And again, I didn't put the icons in here because I am being optimistic, but isolated on and off showers in the area, nothing really too big to speak of, at least in the next 5.
Okay, I can deal with some isolated showers. Thanks very much for that, Nick.
You bet.
Well, an annual butterfly and dragonfly count was held this weekend. We'll have more on that coming up after the break. Citizen scientists gathered on Peely Island this past weekend for an annual butterfly and dragonfly count. It's been happening annually since the late 1990s, but it was the first count in 3 years due to the pandemic. The information gathered is turned over to the North American Butterfly Association to help gauge the overall health of species like the monarch butterfly. The organizer joined us today on CBC Windsor Morning.
So in 97, I decided to start a butterfly and a dragonfly count for Peely Island. I've done it ever since, except for the last 3 years because of COVID. We're always looking for rarities coming in from the south. We count everything on the island itself. Now we know that 10 years ago we were getting these species. We're not seeing them now. That goes the other way. We are getting newer species from the south that's never been here before due to climate change. So that helps us understand climate change as well. The monarch butterfly will produce one more generation. Then late August, they start moving south to Mexico. There again, that's an endangered species. We know fewer and fewer monarchs are wintering each year in Mexico.
There's just something so special about seeing monarch butterflies up close like that. Well, people have been borrowing stuff from libraries for generations. Now pets are doing it too. Tony Davis reports on a little library in Prince Edward Island that's gone to the dogs.
Hang on, bud. You want to go to the stick library?
You know how you see book libraries all over the place? So I just decided that dogs need a library too.
These aren't just any sticks that are in the fancy stick library. It's in the name, they're fancy sticks.
So tell me, what makes this one a good stick?
Well, it's handcrafted by myself and Clara. Clara came up with the inspiration for this. Well, my daughter has a shop here, and that was the first one I wanted to put up. I'd like to put more across the island. This is for you.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's nice because like we're on a walk around there and she can have a stick and just chew on it, other than chewing on a leash or chewing on someone else's shoes, or so that she can focus on something else.
Is that a good stick? Yeah, as you see on the tag, 100% Canadian, 100% organic, gluten-free. Some of them even have Clara's teeth mark already in them, you know, gently used sometimes.
So, what makes the perfect stick? They're about this length, smooth on the edge, no chance of any splinters, no nubs, and if it's not like that, you're barking up the wrong tree. And so you put a window in it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Why?
So the dogs can see what their selection. There's big sticks for big dogs and small sticks for smaller dogs. Yeah, 100% of the proceeds goes to the Humane Society. So there's a donation box in the store as well as in the box, and I just wanted to raise some money for the PEI Humane Society.
Oh, it's been really, really sweet. People kind of come in to the store now, sort of like laughing or sort of like talking about it, or they have a stick in their hand, and it warms my heart. Yeah, it really does.
Tell me, what do you think the best stick is?
Well, you know, a library, you have to bring the books back, but I don't think that they're getting the sticks back in that case there. Well, that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media too. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Tonight on The National, farmers and ranchers are struggling to survive. CBC's Aaron Collins visits with the folks who are struggling to produce food for Canadians while managing the impacts of climate change. That's on at 10 on television and on CBC streaming platforms. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night.